Okay, hello everybody. It is a pleasure for me to announce that today Sebastian is going to present us his topic. So please, Sebastian, you can start introducing yourself.
Hey, hello teacher, my name is Sebastian Vasquez. I talk about politics in Ecuador. When we talk about politics in Ecuador, many people immediately think about elections, campaigns, or the names of political parties. But politics is not only about those moments that happen every 4 years. Politics is in every decision that affects our daily lives. How much we pay for transportation, the price of food, the quality of hospitals and schools. Think about it when you wake up and open the faucet, if there is water, that is politics. If there not water, that is also politics. When you walk on the street with photos, that is politics. When your family pays taxes and you see no results, that is politics. The truth is politics in Ecuador is often disconnected from the people. Many citizens feel that politicians live in another world far from everyday struggles. And that's why distrust grows. But ignoring politics does not make it disappear. It only gives more power to others to decide for us. So, the first reflection is this: politics is not far away. Politics is inside our homes, in our wallets, in our health, and in our future. Okay. Manipulation and political communication. In modern Ecuadorian politics, the real battle is not only in the parliament or in the government palace, it is in the media. However, controls the narrative, controls perception, and however it controls perception, controls power. One headline can make us believe that the economy is collapsing. Another can convince us that everything is improving. Social media adds to this. Fake news spreads faster than truth. And many times people share information without even checking in. Political communication is not neutral. Every speech, every slogan, every silence is designed to influence. For example, how many times have we heard phrases like change is coming or we are the true people? These words are not innocent, they are strategies. The problem when media becomes a weapon of manipulation. Every day we hear that there is no hope. We start to live without hope. If every day we hear that one leader is the savior, we stop questioning him. That's why critical thinking is essential to ask ourselves who benefits from the message. In Ecuador, many times the media has been the real battlefield of politics, more powerful than laws themselves. Democracy in Ecuador. Democracy is not just the act of voting. True democracy is participation, accountability, respect for human rights, and dialogue between different groups. In Ecuador, democracy has been fragile. Our history includes dictatorships, coups, instability, and presidents who could not finish their terms. The fragility shows us that democracy can be lost in a matter of months if silencing stop defining it. Another problem is trust. When people stop trusting institutions, when they believe that justice is corrupt or that elections are not fair, democracy weakens. Democracy is not a gift, it is a responsibility. It is not enough to vote every 4 years and then forget. We must keep participating, demanding, and monitoring those who govern. The great challenge for Ecuador is to build a democracy that is real, not just a ritual. A democracy where young people feel their voice matters, where minorities are respected, and where justice does not depend on politics. Okay. Problems in Ecuador: malnutrition and false promise. Ecuador is a paradox, a rich country with poor results. We are rich in oil, in water, in fertile land, in biodiversity. Yet, one of our greatest tragedies is child malnutrition. How is it possible that in the land of bananas, cacao, shrimp, and rose, children go to bed hungry? This is not just an economic problem, it is a moral one. A country that cannot feed its children is a country that has failed. Politicians often use these problems in campaigns. They promise to solve malnutrition, to improve health, to fight poverty. But after elections, the promise vanishes. Ribbons are cut, ceremonies are held, but children are still waiting. Every unfulfilled promise is not just words, it is a broken life. The cause of political failure is not abstract, it is a pain in the body and mind of every malnourished child. And if we want to understand the crisis of Ecuador, we must understand this. Why corruption and lies persist, thousands of futures are being stolen. Correa versus everybody. For years, Ecuadorians politics has been trapped in a false dilemma. You are either with Correa or against Correa. That is the trap. This polarization dominates the agenda, and everything is filtered through that lens. But while we fight over defining or attacking one figure, the real problems remain: unemployment, crime, poverty, inequality. This division has become a cage. It prevents us from seeing that beyond politicians, we are all Ecuadorians. This constant fight only benefits us in power because white people are busy fighting, leaders keep control. We must understand something very clear. Our true identity is not correísta or anti-correísta. Our true identity is Ecuadorian. Unity is the only path if we continue to divide ourselves. We will remain weak, but if we recognize that what unites us is greater than what separates us, then we can finally solve our challenge. Correa versus everybody is not real choice. It is a distraction. Conclusion. But we learn from this journey that politics in Ecuador is everywhere. In our homes, in the media, in democracy, in our problems, and in our divisions. But politics does not belong only to politicians. It belongs to us. If we remain passive, politics will continue to be corruption, manipulation, and false promises. But if we participate, if we think critically, if we unite, politics can become a tool for justice and progress. The final reflection is simple. Politics reflects who we are. If we want better politics, we must become better silencers. This change does not start tomorrow or in the next elections. It starts today with the way we act, demand, and participate. And the message I want to leave is this: Ecuador will only change if Ecuadorians decide to change.
All right.
Final teacher.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian. Okay, so please, we're gonna go with some questions over here, okay? So the first one, how has Ecuador's political system changed over the last 20 years?
In the last 20 years in Ecuador, we have seen many false politics. Foreign governments promise to reduce poverty, improve education, or bring security, but the reality is that many of those plans stayed only on paper. For example, every president talks about fighting corruption, but corruption is still here. Others promise jobs for young people, but unemployment is still very high. For me, the problem is the false politics create frustration. People stop believing in the government and feel abandoned. I think I think What Ecuador really needs is not big speeches, but small actions that are real and consistent. After 20 years of broken promises, silences want results, not words.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Another one. Uh, how does Ecuadorian's government balance the power between the president and the other institutions?
Hmm. In Ecuador, the balance of power between institutions president is very weak. The constitution says that we have separation of powers, but in the practice, the executive often tries to control the other branches. For example, the president can put pressure on the assembly or even on the justice system. This creates conflict and instability because decisions are made for political interests and not for the people. I think the problem is that institutions are not strong enough. When the president has too much power, democracy becomes fragile. Ecuador needs independent institutions, real check and balance, so that no one person can control everything. Only then can people trust the system and feel that power is really for the silences, not only for politicians.
Okay, perfect. Um, One for like right now. What are some of the most important political debates happening right now in Ecuador?
Pete, teacher, the question, please.
Yes, of course. What are some of the most important political debates happening right now, like in Ecuador?
Right now, I think the most important policies for Ecuador shall focus on three main areas. First, security, because people are living with a lot of fear due to crime and violence. Without safety, nothing else can really work. Second, the economy, especially jobs for young people and support for small business, because many families are struggling to sur- survive. And third, social programs like health and education, because without them, inequality will only grow. My opinion, if the government really wants to help, it must stop making promises and concentrate on these priorities. Ecuador doesn't need more speeches. It needs real actions in security, in economy, and social protection.
Yes, perfect. Okay, let's go with the last one. Two more, sorry. What is your opinion about democracy in Ecuador?
Okay. In my opinion, democracy in Ecuador is fragile, but still very important. We have elections, we can choose our leaders, but many times presidents do not finish their terms, and that creates instability. Also, people often feel that politicians forget them after the election is over. Me, real democracy is not only voting every 4 years. It means accountability, transparency, and participation in decisions that affect our daily lives. If citizens feel included and institutions are stronger, democracy in Ecuador can improve. Right now, the challenge is to make democracy something real, not just a word. And I believe that change leaders and citizens.
Okay, and the last one. If you were the president of Ecuador, what would be your first priority and why?
Good question, teacher.
Yes. So, what would
If
be your first priority and why? Like the first one.
if I were the president of Ecuador, my first priority will be security because people cannot peace if they are afraid of crime and violence. Without safety, the economy and education cannot grow. My second priority will be jobs, especially leaving the country or living with few opportunities. Work gives dignity and stability to families. And finally, I will focus on health and education because they are the base of the development. If silences are healthy and educated, the whole country becomes stronger. In my opinion, these three things, security, jobs, and social programs, are the real foundation for a better
Hmm? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sebastian.